Okay, so I thought I'd just do another chill video where I talk about some work on AngelLoader that I've been doing and muse and discuss some things that I'm maybe not sure about and thinking about. So now that we've got that incredibly sharp and to the point intro out the way, let's just get started on whatever the heck the first thing is. So here is my V-next changes. V-next, yes. So let's see. So this is all the stuff I've done since version 1.44. Mostly nothing really that major, some small bug fixes. But yeah, so we've got this icon here, this play original game icon. It's now images of all 4 games. Maybe I should just make this like a different colored arrow or something in hindsight. But yeah, because I didn't support System Shock 2 at first, so this was just the 3 game icons, but now there's 4. That's a minor polish thing. There's a crash in the settings window if you had a wrong path like this or something, and then you tried to browse, it would crash, but no longer. Tags. There used to be a warning icon there, and according to the code, that wasn't actually supposed to be there. It was accidental, but maybe I should just keep it because people are used to it. I'm going to have to go back and see when this accidentally got added or if it was always accidentally added. So maybe I'll revert this, but you know. So with the top right tab dragging, there was a thing where if you kind of held the left mouse button down and dragged a tab, and then you like dragged this corner, and then you kind of like right mouse clicked to get rid of the drag. If your mouse was like over a button or something, then these tabs would start dragging even though a button wasn't pressed. I don't know, it was weird and probably didn't occur very often, but I fixed that due to some directory separator support stuff. If you had a Thief 3 mission where you scanned for a readme and you had multiple readmes, sometimes this selection would be blank until you reselected the mission again. You know, it doesn't cause any big problems, but that was the thing. And then here's a scanner slight bug. Basically, this is some real technical details in here. If you look at the scanner and you look at the game type, you remember how I did that video about game types? Where is it now? So when it's looking for the game type in a 7-zip file or in an uncompressed FM in a folder, there was a very, very, very slight offset, byte offset problem when it was looking for the phrase. Didn't cause any problems in practice, but basically the chunk that it was looking for the phrase in, if you can see in the comments of my game type video with JRude, there was a slight 24 byte before the end offset problem, but like that's fixed. Again, didn't cause any problems in practice, but you just like to get these things, don't you? If there existed 2 FM archives whose file name differed only by extension, like fm.zip and fm.7z, for example, an error would occur and you couldn't actually use those. Again, not very likely, but it does work now. But the other stuff here, greatly reduced file size and improved performance of startup FM search. Now, if we go and look at the startup FM search, wow, there's a lot of files. Organization is bad. Don't ever do it. This is some really heavy work going on in here where it basically has to look at your FM archive files on the disk and your installed FM folders and the database in the whatever it's called. Yes, the FM data dunny. So it has to like look through here too, right? And it has to take these 3 different sources and combine them in a way that there isn't duplicates and that there isn't bad data, and it's really complicated. And it was doing a lot of n-squared stuff here before, but I figured out some ways to use a hash table so it doesn't have to do n-squared stuff. If you don't know what a hash table is, it's a way to not have to be n-squared. If you don't know what n-squared is, come on, bro. Who the hell doesn't know that? Basically, if you've got like a whole list of FMs in here, it's basically an exponential problem. Like the more of these you have, if you have like 1,000 each 3 times, which is probably unlikely, but if you did, then you would have to be like 1,000 times 1,000 times 1,000 to go through them all. I mean, that's not exactly it because I have some clever stuff in here to try to make it faster, but basically, if you've got a hash table, it's like a really clever way to avoid having to do this using algorithms and stuff. So I've converted some parts of this startup FM find here to use hash tables. I haven't been able to convert everything though because it's really intricate and some parts end up with a different result if I use a hash table. But like, yeah, so this doesn't. But I've gotten some really nasty bits in here where stuff was being called like millions of times it for a large list just horrible. So like startup is technically a little bit faster. Will you notice? Probably not, but it's good to have these things be scalable when they can be. Hopefully somebody understood that. I don't know. So I improved performance and memory use when scanning RTF files, and then a little blurb down here. So this is actually kind of a thing. So where is it now? The scanner, when it scans a README, it needs to scan READMEs for titles and authors and release dates and possibly other stuff I'm forgetting. And so an FM's READMEs could be in plain text. It could be just a text file, or it could be an RTF file, which is rich text, which is extremely not plain text format. You have to do some pretty heavy conversion in order to get a rich text file converted to plain text. The normal way to convert these is to just use the built-in control, a rich text box. You just instantiate a rich text box, you pass it the RTF file, and then you just access the text property, and that's plain text. There you go. And that works perfectly fine, but there's kind of three problems with it. One, it's very slow to convert the plain text. Two, it uses a lot of memory, and potentially anyway. And three, it's extremely tied to Windows. So if I wanted to one day make AngelLoader be cross-platform, that is a huge blocker right there using the built-in Windows-rich text box. The reason it's potentially slow and uses potentially a lot of memory is because when you pass a rich text box, let me show you right here. The rich text box is this README right here. So you see how there's images, there's text, it's all colored, there's different fonts. That's rich text, right? There's hyperlinks, you know. So what happens when you take this rich text box control and you just pass it a rich text file is it just loads it immediately. That means it decompresses all the pictures, it looks at all of the font and color information and the centering information and the hyperlink information. It puts everything into the tree that it would need in order to actually display the file, which if you're going to display the file, then that's perfectly fine. That's what you have to do. But if you just want to convert the file to plain text and you're not going to display it, like in the scanner, then it's complete wasted time to do all this work to get the thing ready for display, especially decompressing images. So if you've got a lot of big images in the file, it's really slow and uses a lot of memory to just convert it to plain text. You can't just ask it to just convert to text. It does it at the same time as loading. So what I actually had in here before was I did a pre-pass on each RTF file and I stripped out all the image data and then I passed it to the rich text box so that at the very least it wouldn't have to load images, and that did speed it up and save some memory. But recently, and this is post version 1.44, so this isn't released yet, but recently I actually wrote my own RTF to plain text converter. I learned how to do it, and so this is a lot faster because all it does is convert to plain text. It doesn't load anything else it doesn't need. A lot better memory use. And since I have complete control of it, it's, small, fast, and low memory use, and it's platform agnostic. It does not depend on Windows. So that doesn't really mean anything now, but it just makes it be one less stumbling block in the future if I ever want to port AngelLoader to Linux or whatever. So that's pretty cool, and converting rich text to plain text is actually more complicated than you might think. For example, here's a rich text file, Tarataba 2, right? So this is what a rich text file looks like. As you can see, there's a ton of just keywords and stuff. This is a RTF control word. You got a backslash and then some incomprehensible thing of text there. This is image data. Where is the plain text? Like, I can't even see it. It's in here somewhere, but like, you can't even see it. It's just ridiculous, right? So you got to figure out how to convert this to plain text. Now, getting like a 90% of the way there is actually pretty easy. You just write up a simple parser that just like looks at all of these keywords, and if it finds a keyword, it just kind of strips it out, and anything left is plain text. And you basically have your plain text there. It's not that difficult. But the complicated thing is character encoding, non-ASCII characters. So for example, to say you got non-ASCII characters like this, or even just a, copyright symbol like that, well, you're not going to get those if you just do the simple strip the tags and there's your text thing. It gets crazy the way RTF specifies these non-ASCII characters, and I had to write a lot of code to handle it. But one of the most interesting things is if we look at, say, the Adventures of Burrick Boy here. If we look at the Adventures of Burrick Boy here, which I think it should be here somewhere. So you see this smiley face right here, right? If we look at the title, I'm sorry, this is the new version of AngelLoader, so it's going to get it right. Okay, all right, let's look inside of this RTF file here. I had to call it something. And then, nope, never mind. I can't actually find what I'm talking about. I'm going to have to create it. Okay, so let's say you've got a blank RTF file. You've got like a hello and have a good and great day. And then you want to put a smiley face. Well, you could, you know, copy and paste something from Unicode, like this, for example. Right? Just stick that in there. But what a lot of people actually did, especially in the older days before Unicode was such a big thing, is they would actually just change the font. Oh, what is all this? Wingdings, where is it? I got a bunch of crazy crap in here. So, Wingdings. I just typed the letter J, and then I changed the font to Wingdings, and now it's a smiley face. This is not a smiley face character. It is, in fact, the character uppercase J, but it's in the font Wingdings. So if you want to convert this to plain text, you can't just do it like dumbly. You can't just say, oh, it's the uppercase letter J, so we're just going to convert that to the letter J. Then it'll be wrong. And in fact, AngelLoader has got that wrong in the rare case when it's been the case in titles. Not a huge deal, but I've actually improved this. So the built-in rich text box that I was talking about doesn't actually do anything. If it sees the uppercase letter J, it doesn't care about the font. It just converts it to J in plain text. But the proper thing to do, semantically speaking, is to have a font conversion table. Let's see if I can find my thing here. So what I have is I've got 3 different font conversion tables: the symbol font, the Wingdings font, and the Webdings font. And it's basically just the number, like the number of these items is like the number of the characters. This is like character 22, no, it's 20 or 21 or something. And so it starts at 21 and it just counts up from there. And so all of these characters here, these numbers, these are Unicode characters. So for the Wingdings font, the smiley face, now I don't know which one it is because these are just stupid numbers, but so what it does is every time it finds a character, it looks and sees what font it's using, and it goes, okay, if it's using one of these 3 fonts that have conversion tables, then it goes and it converts the character in the font to a known Unicode character. So we end up with this uppercase J that just looks like a smiley face, and we get it converted to the actual smiley face character in Unicode. Hopefully that's... There seems to be Armageddon going on in the house there. Hopefully that's clear. So if you notice that if you have, say, Adventures of Burrick Boy in the current public version of AngelLoader 1.44, this title will in fact have J at the end like that. But the new version of AngelLoader puts the proper smiley face there. That's what I'm trying to say. So that's something I did. Now, all that aside, you may have noticed this force windowed thing in the last few videos I showed of AngelLoader, and you may notice this stuff and this stuff here. So this is personal stuff that I have just in the private version of AngelLoader. It's not public because it's kind of just quick and dirty, but this is a feature that I personally find really useful. This is what I call screenshot mode. So if you go and play something like let's play Rebellion of the Builder 2 here. So say you want to take a screenshot in game. Well, you've got your HUD here. You've got your health bar down there. You've got your light gem. You've got your inventory, but you can clear that. But you've got your light gem and your freaking health, right? So if you want to take a screenshot, that stuff's going to be in the way. So is there any way to get rid of that? Well, it turns out there is. And it's right here in the user config file. So you go into your thief game folder, you open your user.config, and you type inv status height 0, right? And you can comment this out to disable it so that you can just kind of keep it in there. And when you do that, well, now you don't have a HUD, so you can take a screenshot and have a nice, clear, beautiful screen. You are still able to have your inventory and your weapons if you want, but you can clear those. And somehow, there we go. So that's how you have your HUD. Now, that's useful, but if you're like me and you're taking screenshots all the time, then going in here to like comment and uncomment this is kind of a pain. So I just whipped up this little thing in here that actually does it automatically. So I see if I check this button here, T2 screenshot mode, we can see it actually modifies the file automatically, and that happens even if there's absolutely nothing in here, right? And it just sticks that there. And then if you undo it, then it just comments it out. And it even persists across runs, so we can close that and start it again. And you can see that it's checked there. Now, the thing you may not think about when it comes to features in a program, is that the UI is actually kind of a big, huge deal. Like, it's really easy to add features like this screenshot mode and this force windowed, which will force the game to run in windowed mode when you run it, and the the requests like playing a random FM or writing out an fm.config file using the data the way FMCell does. I can add all of those things, but it's like where to put them on the UI. This UI is basically based off of DarkLoader and NewDarkLoader, and it's sort of, it's based off a UI that's pretty old, and it works really well, but once you start adding a whole bunch of features, like we don't even have a menu bar. I could add one, but then it would lose vertical space, and I'm always thinking, do I want to do that? Do I want to lose vertical space for everyone? Are most people going to use this menu bar? If not, where can I put a button with advanced options in here? Because there's starting to be a lot of cool stuff that could be in here, but I'm just not sure how to present it without it being like chaos on the UI, right? This is already a little bit borderline here. That's why I have it so that you can take away the tabs if you don't want them. Oops. And all of that stuff. But that's the reason why this stuff is just in my private version, because I can just shove them here and I'm okay with that. But beyond this, there's also other stuff I'm thinking of doing, like DarkLoader, for example. Well, it has this sort of count of quests, missions. I guess they call them quests because some of them are single missions and some are campaigns, and it doesn't want to call them missions if they're a campaign, maybe. I don't know, but I've never heard them referred to as quests other than here. But yeah, it counts up your missions that you have available, and I think one person said, hey, maybe that would be a cool feature, and I'm like, yeah, but I couldn't figure out where to put it in the title bar. It got crowded because I wanted to count like each individual game or something like that, or I don't know, but because this is a bit more complicated, and it's like you might want to know how many missions you have for each game maybe, so I just don't know about that. But another thing I wanted to add was NewDark version detection. So a lot of times I find I forgot what version of NewDark or of tfix that I have. Actually, I guess you can't really detect the tfix and t2fix versions. Not that I found anyway. But in the past, I've just kind of been marking my folders. Like, I don't think I have them like that. Yeah, see, I used to call them like T2Fix, and then I'd note the version in the folders, but then every time I would upgrade the version, I'd have to change the version number in the folder, because it's easy to forget what version you have, and say you got an FM that needs a particular version, or you want to roll back because an FM is buggy with a new version or something, you might be like, dude, the last time I updated this was like a year or two ago, like what do I even have? And it's actually kind of hard to figure out what you have sometimes. So I was thinking of adding a feature where it would just, you'd hit a button and it would get like this little window where it would just tell you all the versions of the games that you have, 1, 2, 3, and SS2, and it would just tell you your NewDark versions. Of course, Thief 3 doesn't have NewDark, but it would give you a sneaky upgrade version there. I sort of implemented that, but then I just couldn't figure out where to put it on the UI. So a lot of cool stuff could happen if I could figure out a good way to do it. Maybe just a menu bar added up there above all of this stuff. Just, probably wouldn't lose that much screen real estate. You could have like an advanced menu or something like that. The force windowed thing, I'm not sure how many people would use that, but basically I like to play in a full screen mode when I'm recording for YouTube, because of the way that you can use the Bandicam to like show the thing in the corner. And but I like to play in windowed mode when I'm streaming, because then I can have multiple monitors. So I use this a lot back when I actually used to stream. Don't ask me about it. I don't feel like it now. So But like, I don't know how many people would use that. But I'd love to just throw all these features in, but I'm very, you know, concerned about, overload of the UI and just having a bunch of stuff that is all in your face and nobody even knows about the features. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking about. And screenshot mode to me seems useful, but I don't know how many people would use that. But I just love to be able to put things in. I just can't quite figure out how to present them, I guess. So that's what I'm thinking of. Hopefully I can make some sort of sense out of this mess of a video. But yeah, I haven't released a new version of AngelLoader because, the bug fixes are relatively minor. Like, there's nothing really catastrophic in here. So I could put on a new version and say, hey, it's a new version. There's not really anything exciting. Awesome. Oh, and also there's this thing. I haven't gotten around to that, but meh. So, yeah, I've been experimenting with dark mode. Actually, I just remembered. Maybe I'll show a little thing about that. So presuming this still functions at some level, we can take a look. So I think it's this button here. Right, so basically for dark mode for the interface, I've said it before in an old video, but dark mode on WinForms is really difficult because it just wasn't designed for it. Can I swap? Yeah, okay, so a lot of this interface I could just make dark mode compatible. A good deal of it would just work. But some things like tabs, you can't make these dark mode compatible. They look bad. But I remembered that actually I can make custom tabs. So I could just have the the regular classic mode, just have the regular tabs. And if you switch to dark mode, I just swap these out for custom tabs. Like here, these are basically custom tabs here in the settings window. Oh, that's funny. The brightness isn't quite as bright as it should be on those. Is that a bug or something? Possibly. I don't know, maybe not. So yeah, these are basically custom tabs. It's, it's just buttons that I've changed to act like tab pages, and it's all custom. So I could just do something similar, and I'll be able to have dark mode for these tabs. I can have dark mode for all of this, and this title bar, I'm not 100% sure if I can have dark mode for that or not. But yeah, it's just like little fiddly things, like scroll bars you can't make dark. These headers, I think I can make them dark, but I can't remember. These calendars, you can't make these dark because this is like a hardcore built-in Windows control. You cannot make this dark. Because Windows dark mode, the dark mode in Windows 10, it doesn't apply to all of this stuff because this is like old school Windows stuff. So this is not going to be dark no matter what you do, even if you set the Windows 10 dark mode. So that's the thing. But I can make all the buttons and drop-downs be dark. But sorry, Armageddon's still happening. But the main thing is with these readmes, because if we pick a plain text readme like this, well, it's really trivial to make a plain text readme dark. Also, that would have to have its background changed as well, but like that's pretty easy. So it's really trivial to make a plain text readme dark. You just change the background color, you change the foreground color, no problem. The scroll bars still aren't, but that's a thing. But it's the rich text that's a problem, because rich text files, they can have any number of colors in them, right? The fonts can be all different colors. So you see right off the bat here, I made it dark, and this font is now super hard to read. And this image is fine, but if we take something like What Lies Below, oops, well, this looks really terrible in dark mode. Looks great in light mode, but it doesn't look good there. And also, all of the text, it's like, what would you do? I mean, if you can detect black text and make it white, but like beyond that, maybe there's some kind of color algorithm that you can like take a color and like keep it the same hue, but just make it a certain % brighter so it sets off the background. I've tried to look it up. I don't know if that's like possible or not, but if it is, I just don't know about color theory. So what would happen if it was dark mode and you had an RTF readme is it basically end up looking like this. I could probably detect the black text and make it white, but like the colored stuff and images, I mean, what can you even do? Like, the only thing I could do is I could just make all the text be one color. Like, I could remove the color formatting, just make it all white, and that would at least make it readable. But I don't like that, because that's taking the artistic intent out of something. Like, somebody intended this to be colored. Now, whether you think this is good color scheme or not is another thing, but that's the author intent. I don't want to remove author intent like, hey, somebody might just view this in black and white and I don't even care about what you want. You know, I don't want to do that because it's not my business, I feel. And also, good luck with images. I don't even know. You'd have to have whole entire image algorithms in here just to convert it to monochrome. Don't even want to get into that. So this is the thing people maybe don't think about when they say, hey, how about a dark load for AngelLoader? You got these RTF readmes. What are you even going to do about them, right? So that's really the main thing. And I just did some experimenting with some of these, like I said, and you know, some of them look okay, but it's troublesome to say the least. So that's kind of what's holding that up. And I don't really know, you know, even if I wasn't using WinForms, even if I was using a framework where it's easy to have dark mode, this would still be a problem. So you could either just not dark mode the RTF readmes, in which case it would be jarring, like everything would be dark except for this, which would be blinding white. Or you could have options, maybe other buttons here like monochrome, original colors, or just don't make it dark at all. That's kind of janky. So yeah, I don't know, but that's kind of dark mode. Anyways, yeah, I guess that's it. So like I said, I'm going to see if I can make some sense out of this mess. See you guys later, and bye for now.